From H.R. McMaster's 1996 book, Dereliction of Duty, about the war in Vietnam. Quote, "The disaster of Vietnam was not the result of impersonal forces, but a uniquely human failure, the responsibility for which was shared by President Johnson and his principal military and civilian advisors. The failings were many and reinforcing: arrogance, weakness, lying in the pursuit of self-interest, and above all, the abdication of responsibility to the American people." Close quotes. McMaster's words ring both true and frighteningly current. While holding control of the Senate, Mitch McConnell refused for over 300 days to consider any nominee offered by President Obama to fill Antonin Scalia's seat on the Supreme Court. He cited as precedent that no outgoing president has ever had a Supreme Court pick, so neither should Obama. McConnell's claim was factually wrong. Many presidents have submitted Supreme Court nominees in their last year in office, including Ronald Reagan, who nominated Anthony Kennedy to the court. So McConnell was flagrantly dishonest, hypocritical, and self-serving, but he had the power to prevent hearings, so Merrick Garland never had a chance. Now Anthony Kennedy has retired, and President Trump's replacement pick is Brett Kavanaugh. Most of the documentation of this man's judicial and political life has been withheld from Senate Judiciary Committee members who are tasked with vetting court nominees. I'll put that in school days terms. Here are the rules for your test. 1. 42,000 documents that are pertinent to the test will be available for download tomorrow at 4 a.m. The test will begin just 5 hours later. 2. Sorting through the documents for relevant content, your problem. Good luck. And 3. There is 10 times more material that we won't let you see, and it is likely the most important material for this test. The chairman of this committee is Senator Chuck "They're gonna pull the plug on Granny" Grassley, Republican of Iowa, who is prone to saying absurdly false things and doing so with a straight face and always for partisan advantage. He was true to form during the Kavanaugh hearings. Motions were made repeatedly by Democratic members of the committee to postpone hearings on Kavanaugh so that background material could be properly reviewed. Grassley claimed that he didn't have to entertain any motion while the committee was not in executive session. This was a hearing. So he ignored the motions. He did that in willful contradiction of the rules of his own committee, which don't require executive session to entertain a motion to adjourn. Grassley is what might be called a useful idiot for the Republican Party. Useful idiots are and have been for quite a while an invading species, one specimen of which is in the White House right now. We were reminded last week at the memorials for John McCain about duty, honor, and about serving something much bigger than ourselves. Failure to do that surely is a bipartisan thing, but for the past few decades, the Republicans have been honing that failure into a disaster machine. I repeat H.R. McMaster's words: the failings were many and reinforcing: arrogance, weakness, lying in the pursuit of self-interest, and above all, the abdication of responsibility to the American people. Right now, the failings are many, and they are reinforcing. There is arrogance, weakness, and lying in the pursuit of self-interest. Above all, our powerful people in Congress are abdicating their responsibility to the American people. And another thing, connected. In his Senate Judicial Committee hearings, Brett Kavanaugh refused comment or weaseled around questions concerning a lot of stuff, like whether a president can be subpoenaed, whether waterboarding is torture, and whether he concurred with John Hughes' declaration that the CIA could torture prisoners, whether Roe v. Wade was properly decided and whether he would vote to uphold it, whether he was involved in President Bush's signing statement that eliminated the McCain anti-torture bill that had been passed in Congress, whether President Trump can fire Robert Mueller, whether a president must respond to a subpoena, whether a president has an absolute right to pardon himself, whether a president could pardon others in exchange for them agreeing not to testify against the president, whether Kavanaugh would recuse himself from cases involving Trump's personal, criminal, or civil liability, whether he would uphold the requirement for healthcare insurance companies to cover pre-existing conditions, whether a president can be protected from investigation while in office, what the limits of presidential power are. There's far more, including Kavanaugh's lies under oath when he was being confirmed as a judge years ago. Just as the conceits and hubris of Presidents Johnson and Nixon engineered and sustained the disaster in Vietnam, the integrity outages of McConnell, Grassley, Kavanaugh, and all the Republican enablers are an invading species that is laying the paving stones of the road to ending our democracy. I'm Jack Altshuler.